Hello.
Hello. Hello, everyone. It is
Well,
much nicer today because our heat dome has moved.
it is still fucking miserable here and will remain that way for the foreseeable future.
Right. Yeah,
I mean,
we were hotter than Louisiana on a couple days last week. We got up to I think 97. That was actual temperature. Plus like every day was like this hot dry wind and we got no rain. So everything is parched and brown. But
well, it
Sunday,
got
we got a
so
quarter inch of rain, which is not much, and then the heat has broken. Today was 85, which is not bad, and then, like, it's gonna be cooler than that even the rest of the week, and
that's
hopefully
good.
it'll start raining again. So but, like, Iowa is drowning, Wisconsin is drowning, Minnesota is just getting pounded. So, like, everybody else in the Midwest is and Ohio has gotten tons of rain, like,
We had good
Michigan
rain
has gotten tons of rain,
last
but
week.
not
I'm
Indiana.
would like it to come back though. We had a heat advisory yesterday and it got so bad that a transformer in our neighborhood blew last night at like 9 o'clock, and we didn't get power back until 2 a.m.
Ah,
So I had
so
to
at
stay
least
up
use
and
it at night, where like
you would think, but no freaking airflow in the house. It's just
yeah.
terrible.
But I mean, if it had been at like 4 in the afternoon, like, oh god, we
Yeah.
died.
Well,
Yeah.
I had to stay up and wait for the power to come back on so that I could go stick a chopstick in half of my aqua clears
Oh god.
because that's what they like to do.
Sucks. All right, my house got up to 79 degrees. I couldn't get any cooler than that.
Ugh.
Which I'm okay with 75. It's fine. You know, I can sleep at 75, but 79, come on.
I mean, 75 with airflow is tolerable.
Yeah, and I have fans and, I'm all right. And I am used to heat. I'm okay with it. But 79, ugh, when you're trying to sleep.
So Coro said, our pal Volcanics Aquatics Works posted a question about algae control. I don't know if he did in this chat and it disappeared or if he posted it elsewhere,
Oh,
but I don't know what the question about it is. But Coro has questions about cyanobacteria. That's
okay.
lovely.
So
And
that,
I want,
yeah, it's kind of gross.
yeah, and I
So
want
you know
everyone
it's
to check their water.
cyanobacteria. Yeah. You know it's cyanobacteria because it's stinky.
Hmm.
It smells like a swamp. It smells like a stinky stagnant pond. Um, It is not an algae, it is a bacteria, as the name would suggest. Sometimes it's brownish, sometimes it's blue greenish, sometimes it's green. It's like slimy and falls apart. You can treat it with antibiotics. So, like,
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
I'm
And
pretty
just one
much
dose will knock
immediately
it out.
exactly.
Yeah. And it works. And if you don't live in the United States and you don't have access to antibiotics for your fish, I would suggest just getting your tank really, really clean, getting rid of organic matter, take out you know, any like botanicals you might have just for a while or wood, because the cleaner your tank is, the less you'll have it. Clean your filter, clean your gravel.
Does a blackout work at all on cyanobacteria?
I don't think so. I
'Cause
don't
I've
think
heard that before,
so.
but
I
once
don't.
I learned that the erythromycin just knocks it out with
Yeah,
one
one
dose, I'm like,
dose,
well,
one
obviously
dose. It
that's.
does really work. And I am not an advocate of overuse of antibiotics. Um,
I've only had
you know,
cyanobacteria twice in my almost 5 years of fish keeping, so
yeah, I have not had it since I lived in Iowa. And I had it
mm,
once, and I stole some doxycycline from the lab, and
that's
you know,
handy.
I mean,
Do you think it had something to do with the Iowa water that
no, I
made it?
don't think so. I think just algae happen. I think it happens more in newer tanks than it does in mature tanks. It
Mhm.
also happens, I think, in areas with not a lot of flow.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
addressing your flow can help, I think. But the antibiotics do work. They work.
And thanks, Peplin, for
Hi,
being a member for
Brian.
30 months.
Where does the
I'm
time?
on Mike's side here. 75, like 75 with airflow is tolerable, but I would be looking to reduce it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay. You know, yeah, I'm fine. I prefer it 73 on weekends when Jake is here because it's like another hot carcass next to me, and that's a bit much. So,
Yeah, like
but
Jenna
Jake's
said,
okay at 73.
we
Oh,
had
come
all
on.
the dogs in the room because the dogs got to be with us, and
I
then
know. I mean,
dark
like
in the
cat
kids'
Kitty
rooms.
piling on top of me, and yeah, I get it. The more organisms in the bed, like the more difficult it
Yeah,
gets.
and
But
dogs and cats run hotter too.
yeah, I mean, I just I only sleep with a sheet and like really lightweight pajamas, like very, very light. So, yeah, I sleep okay. I'm pretty good with heat. Years and years of hot yoga have really changed my body and my heat tolerance because I do yoga at 90 degrees year round. And
Hmm.
it's fine. It doesn't bother me. And it did it first. It was hard at first. And the summers were really, really hard. Now, like in the winter, I really, really crave it. And I mean, I might slow down a little bit on a day where it's 100 degrees out and I've been hot all day, but I'm fine. So, all right, Scotty tested his water. That's exciting. pH 6.6, kind of acidic. KH 0 to 20, that makes no sense. Do you mean ppm? You must mean ppm. Okay, you don't mean degrees. So that is
Yeah,
super,
based on his
super
GH.
soft water.
Now,
I'm
yeah,
really jealous. Your GH is decent-ish. Your nitrate, wow, you have a little bit of nitrate out of the tap. Hmm.
yeah. So I guess the water he's tested it. I don't know. Did you test this in your CO2 tank at night or during the day? I just
Yeah.
because that pH is
Yeah.
skewed by the CO2
What
injection.
is the water out of your tap? That's what I want to know. What just the straight KH and GH out of your tap are. So you can also test the pH of your water after it off gases a little bit. That's a useful
Yeah.
measurement. But I think that just knowing straight up what comes out of your tap for KH, GH is very useful. It's nice to know also if you have like some phosphate in your water and nitrate, but really that doesn't matter. I guess I'd also like to know if your water had a ton of chlorine in it or
Hmm.
chloramine. I can't detect anything on a test, and my municipality uses chlorine, not chloramine. I still use dechlorinator in my tanks, but in my ponds, not even bother.
So
So,
Zen tested her water the other day as well. And I guess because Houston uses a lot of surface water sources that are next to residential areas, there's a lot of like fertilizer runoff.
oh, sure, for sure.
And basically, her water is like an EI dose. So
Oh, God.
it's like 40 ppm nitrate. There's some
Yeah.
nitrite. There's ammonia. And she didn't test potassium. That's kind of a specialized one, but I bet there's potassium too.
Yeah, I don't have a potassium test. I have phosphate and then the API test
It's
kit.
not an easy one to get. There
Yeah.
you can find the saltwater one all day long, but it tests like the like super high range. So
Yeah. My water has a little bit of phosphate in it out of the tap, which is not surprising. Our water comes from the rivers. This is an
mhm.
agricultural area. So there is going to be some farm runoff. It's not horrible. And I don't know, I have so many plants, like they're going to use all that phosphate. I have to add more phosphate. So
Mhm.
I don't detect any nitrates in my water out of the tap. At least, I don't know. Maybe I would now. I haven't tested in a long time. But
Oh, Zen's got the freshwater potassium test. Go find it
oh, wow, that's
when you get
exciting.
a chance. I'm curious because like
Yeah,
if she's got MPK in her water, that I guess in like a low energy tank that makes water changes a little
yeah.
iffy. But if you're like in your
Yeah,
CO2
I would
tank,
still do water changes. Maybe I wouldn't fertilize on the first day
yeah.
because, you have so many plants in all your tanks, they're going to use that up. But when you do a water change, you are getting rid of lots of junk, lots of crap that is not an NPK and things that your plants will not metabolize because an aquarium is a closed system. And I hope anyone out there who is making clips of this stream to post on their own channel will post me saying, your aquarium is a closed system, which
Indeed.
means you have to add things to your aquarium, right? For your fish. You cannot count on them having enough live food produced in the aquarium to nourish your fish. So you must add fish food, and you have to take things out in the form of wastes. So you have to take out organic wastes. Your plants will not metabolize it. There is not a thriving enough bacterial community to remove that because your substrate is simply not complex. Okay? Your deep sand bed is not that deep. You do not have a lake in your 40 breeder.
Does take up a lot of water in that tank though. Like takes up a lot of
Yeah, it takes up a lot of room. It does.
volume.
So clip this. Your
Look at
tank
that.
is a closed system. You must put energy in, you must take waste out.
Speaking of water chemistry though, update on this little experiment that I'm running. This is basically coffee now.
Oh, gross.
I know.
So, what did you put in that right side again?
So I started with one crushed catappa leaf, and it
Okay.
tinted the water where you could, still see through it.
Okay.
And then I added a couple of banana stems. It's like a spiral botanical that I got from KJE.
Hmm.
And those actually release a lot of tannins. Like that
Hmm.
went a long way to tint the water. And then I put alder cones in there, and it was like it went straight Coca-Cola coffee. KH still 6 and pH still 8.
There you go. So, I mean, it's an aesthetic choice. I mean, if
Yeah.
you like the look of that, more power to you. It's not my jam. Some people like tinted water. I don't. It is filtering the light,
Oh
so
yeah.
your plants are not going to be as happy.
So yeah, I basically the reason I'm doing this is just to prove a point about like there's a lot of generic advice that gets thrown around on especially YouTube of like I need to lower my pH. Okay, we'll add botanicals. Like, well, maybe.
Yeah,
This is
I
a
mean,
pretty moderate amount of KH. This is
if
not
you
even
have
hard
extremely,
water.
yeah, if you have extremely low pH water, botanicals will lower your pH more because there's no buffer to the water.
Yep.
So even a KH of 6 is it's pretty decently buffered water. Now, if you have a KH of 22, ain't nothing budging that.
So Juanita has a question. How do I get the KH and GH with API KH GH test kit? It takes 17 drops of the KH
Okay?
reagent and 12 drops of the GH.
That's some hard
That
water,
means, yeah,
girlfriend.
unfortunately, that is very hard water,
They
and it's an
are.
uphill battle
Woo!
with certain plants for sure.
Yeah. So that means you have 17 degrees of KH. If you want to convert that into ppm, I think it's times like 17 point something. You can look that up. And then that's the ppm it is. But I'm here to tell you that is very, 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 very hard water. Very
Yeah.
hard, which means growing plants is going to be more challenging. CO2 will make it easier, but you're going to have to inject CO2 like crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna take a lot.
A lot. RO water would really help you.
Yeah, even just
Yeah.
like Dee Dee, I believe she doesn't just do pure RO and remineralize. I think she actually just dilutes. She
Yeah.
just cuts her
Yeah. And
her
that's a great
GH
way
or
to do it.
KH.
That's a great way to do it. So, yeah, that's some hard water, girlfriend. Whew. But I have lived that life. Um, yeah. I mean, because when I lived in Iowa, I had a KH of 22 and a GH of 22.
Is that how
So,
many? Is that how far up the test goes? Like, is there a
yes,
limit?
it only
Yeah,
goes up to 22. So, I mean, maybe it was worse. uh,
gross.
it's so hard that it drops out of solution really, really easily. Everything has hard water stains. Your fixtures all get very badly crusted with hard water stains. Your clothes get soap scum in them.
Yuck.
Like, if you use like real soap as opposed to like a body wash or something, you get a lot of soap scum in your
I
shower.
bet nothing lathers worth a crap either. Trying to wash your
It
hair.
doesn't. I mean, Yeah, I mean, I think my hair is a lot better since moving to Indiana. I think it's softer and cleaner. My hair was fine in Iowa, but not all of Iowa is going to be quite that bad. It's just I lived in Coralville. I mean, it's
Yeah.
called Coralville. I mean, so yeah,
So this tank on the left, this is just RO water,
yeah.
and I've added calcium hydroxide, just like a lime water solution, and I'm just adding a little bit at a time, just to show like this can show pretty low ppm, and it's probably I can maybe get it to be more alkaline than the water next to it
I
with
mean,
a
if you're adding
lower ppm.
lime, that's what
Yeah,
lime does. I mean, yeah, it's just like if you're a gardener and you have really, really low pH soil, they will, if you send your soil off to get it tested, and they will recommend you amend your soil with lime because it's very cheap and very effective. If your soil is too alkaline, you don't add acid, you add sulfur because it creates a more reducing environment for the iron that's in the soil, so plants can uptake it better, and it actually lowers the pH of the soil because it creates a reducing environment. So it's kind of weird that you don't add. I mean, you don't go pouring vinegar on your garden. You would add sulfur,
no,
which is very cheap. So
but yeah, just
yeah,
doing stupid things to water right now,
I love
basically,
it. I love it.
just for the fun of it,
Great. I love it.
and
I
also
love
kind of
making things
showing how
so fast.
like the GH, I mean the KHCO2 pH thing just gets totally ruined by adding something like that. Because like if you do a KH test on this, it'll show that there's KH, but there's no bicarbonate hardness. It's like not the same. The ppm doesn't line up.
Yeah,
It's like the way the KH test works is you're just adding an acid. It's like acid titration. It's not like actually testing for bicarbonate content.
right. Yeah. I mean, is it bad to add botanicals to your water? No. I mean,
Doesn't seem to be.
there may be other benefits conferred by the botanicals, right? It could be a food for microbes. The tannins could provide some benefit to the fish.
Yeah,
Um,
it seems to
you
help with
know,
hatching certain fish eggs as well.
right. There are fish that have evolved in very tannic environments, so it could help with that. You may like the aesthetic of it. A lot of people do. A lot of people really like those biotope tanks that have like the neons in them with the tannins, and
I mean,
it's
I don't
so
know if anybody would like this opaque
well,
coffee
yeah. I
environment.
mean, there are limits. I don't think anybody wants a
Yeah.
box of coffee. That's kind of gross. But you're not bad for adding botanics. One thing that I would urge you though is when you add botanicals, you are adding more organic waste.
Hmm.
So you're adding something that's decomposing.
Yeah, the
So if
TDS
you're
did go
getting a
up, so
if
there's
you're yeah. So if
something ionic in there.
you're getting a lot of algae in your tank, maybe cut down a little bit. Try taking some of it out. It's just like if you have a lot of really soft wood that's breaking down, it it could contribute to algae.
Yeah,
Not to say that it will.
I mean,
Algae
whenever
is a
I
good
have issues
thing.
with algae in tanks with wood, that's kind of where the algae starts, is on the wood.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've seen that too. Well, so Shady Grady is hurt. It sounds like I am
Yeah,
barely
he had
able to put it down.
surgery
Oh,
about a week ago, I think the Friday before last, and on his foot.
oh. Well, I hope you start to feel better soon. It sounds like you're in a lot of pain right now.
Ugh.
So I hope you can rest and recover and do everything the doctor says and your physical therapist says so you'll feel better. Because,
Yeah, and it sucks trying to get around and maintain tanks as well.
oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, whenever you're injured, it's really hard to maintain tanks. I mean, you can't do that from a chair, you have to stand up. So maybe someone can help you, though. That would be good.
Yeah.
So yeah, and First Class Fish says, Mike, don't do too much. Yeah. That's good
Definitely not.
advice. You gotta stay off that foot. So
Here we go. I'm the
yeah,
guest expert.
I agree. Steven said he was not a plant expert. I told him he is. There you go.
I guess we can just all declare ourselves as anything we want.
I can declare you an expert if I want to. So there.
But anyway,
So there.
at 7 o'clock Central Time, I'll be joining Chelsea and Bob Steenfot
And they
on
seem like
their
really
stream.
nice people.
They are.
Seem like nice people.
I was
I'm
glad they asked me. I
yeah,
was, of course I'm gonna join
yeah.
them.
I'm glad he found her because you always hope that nice people will end up with nice people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's good. So that'll be good. And you can tune into Scotty's members only stream after that because he won't tell us what regulator he bought because
Is it
Scotty
after or before?
I thought it was right after. Isn't it right after this?
Oh, after
I have no
this.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, after this.
I think
Because
it's
he will
6 p.m.
not tell
Central.
you. Yeah, he will not tell you what regulator he bought. So tune in to find out. I mean,
Clickbait.
I do not respond to terrorists or clickbait, Scotty. You can either tell me or not. That's fine.
Maybe F Zone and Milwaukee did a merger and he bought their very first release of the Milwaukee F Zone regulator.
The world's shittiest regulator.
Now, here's a good deal.
All right.
Actually, Greenlee GLA regulator for sale. So,
hey, I have a GLA and I really, really like it. And as long as the regulator has not been abused, which I'm sure he does not abuse his regulator, it's used regulator is a great thing. So I love GLA regulators. So if you're looking for a regulator, that's a good thing to check out. So
sweet.
yeah. Michael says Kelly wants to know so bad. So Geek Boy says Scotty doesn't use enough sex in his thumbnails. I'm not clicking on streams that don't have a sexy thumbnail.
I would be careful what you wish for, though.
I mean, do you really want a sensual Scotty thumbnail? I mean, maybe you do. I don't judge.
By the fireplace.
So Scotty says his stream starts at 7 p.m., but he will probably start early. So there you go. Don't miss out. You have to be a member, though, to watch. So join his channel.
It's only $1.
You can find out what regulator he bought.
99 cent memberships.
It's a bargain.
What I noticed is that if you have 99 cent memberships and you try to send a member milestone chat, you can't type anything.
Oh.
They don't like no, you're the cheap member. You can't put words in your milestone. But $2, that works.
You've earned the right for words. Yeah. First Class Fish says thirst bait. That's what it's all about. We don't really ever have any thirst bait in our wet your plants.
No,
just beautiful plants. That's all we ever have.
Just Fat Kitty every now and then.
Fat
but I'm
Kitty
sure he's taking a nap.
He was on the table roaming around, and now I don't know where he is. I mean, he has fallen asleep somewhere, but no one knows where. So
Zen found a big tub of erythromycin from 3 years ago.
It's still good. It keeps forever. As long as it's been kept dry, it's fine. I mean, especially since, your house is climate controlled, except when the Texas power grid is down.
Lovely.
It should be just fine. I've used antibiotics from the 60s, and they have worked. So I've used some really old chemicals in the lab. They work just fine.
Yeah, I always wonder, I have expired ibuprofen that I still take on a regular basis.
It's fine as long as it's kept dry. So, I mean, if you take it swimming and it falls in the pool, well, I'm not good then. But
yeah.
Oh, so no stream next week, everyone. Well, I don't know. Steven, you can stream. I'm not the boss of you. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, I'll be on vacation. Jake and I are going to northern Minnesota. So We'll be
That's
on the
cool.
North
Nice
Shore.
temperate climate.
Cold. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty chilly. It's like in the 60s there.
That's
So
perfect. That is not chilly. That is perfection.
yeah, it's not bad. It's just fine. So and
I would be shorts and t-shirt in
it
that
is
weather too.
beautiful part of the country. If you ever have a chance to go, I've been several times. The North Shore of Lake Superior is amazing. It's just waterfall after waterfall. The state parks are as beautiful as national parks are. There's tons of them. Um, yeah, it's really really nice. Wow, Geek Boy says, who keeps approving these
It's
vacations?
nice when you work for yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. And Jake has a lot of vacation days because he's been in his company for over 20 years. So he has like
Yeah.
6 weeks vacation. So,
Does it roll over? Like, does he have just a
yeah.
crap ton of built up
I have
vacation
no
time?
I have no idea.
So like
It,
when he leaves that company or retires, they owe him like
yeah,
a year's worth
they'll
of.
pay it out. Yeah. So if he
Mhm.
ever the deal is like if he were ever let go, the severance package plus all the other things would work out to about a year and a half of salary.
Man, I'd be
Which
tempted to.
Which is, oh god, every time. So he always has to do his like goals for the year, and like he and his coworker always joke that their goal is to get laid off. But it won't happen because like he's been there so long that he has a golden parachute.
His goal is to get replaced by AI.
It won't happen because he fixes robots for a living. So
Well, that sucks. I'm sorry he has job security. Send my condolences.
I know. So, but we are taking vacation. So we're driving because it's like I think it's well, Google says it's a 12-hour drive. I mean, obviously we'll be more than that because I mean, we have to stop some. So
Any tips? Fern plants from
okay.
KL26.
So like
Java fern are we talking about? Or
Fulvitis, they love CO2.
they
So if
do?
you can use CO2, it's a great thing. In general, whether you use CO2 or not, I think they like good flow. They without CO2, they don't need as much nutrients. With CO2, they need a good amount of nutrients. I think they're pretty easy. They don't need a ton of light. Moderate light is just fine. They do need
Yeah.
to be they're epiphytes. You can't plant them in the substrate. I like to use super glue or cyanoacrylate glue. It's made by lots of
Mm.
different people, and I like to glue it to either wood or rock.
I
Um,
like friction. I like wedging when I
yeah,
can.
wedging works cool too. Just wedge it like in like between a couple of rocks or stick it like in the branch of a tree. That works too, but it needs to be anchored somehow. You can tie it with cotton thread if you want, if that's your jam. You could rubber band it if you want, but it does need to be anchored and it doesn't like to be just planted in the substrate.
Yeah. And some versions of Java Fern are a little fussier than others.
Yes,
Like
that
even
is true.
Trident and CO2 takes forever
Yeah,
to
and like
recover.
mini trident, all the mini ones, those are
Hmm.
the easiest one I think is narrow leaf, and it
Yeah.
looks great.
Yep.
It is like a convergence of easy to grow and really great looking. It's
Yeah, it is my
my
favorite
favorite.
looks wise
Yeah,
too.
it's my favorite, and I have plenty of trident, and it's fine. But honestly, like it's not better than narrow leaf, and narrow leaf always looks is easier to grow. It always looks better. It grows way faster. So,
So, which colonizes bacteria better, lava rock or media balls?
I mean, whichever one has the most surface area, but
I can't
it
imagine
doesn't
yours
really
tank being stocked to the point where like
like it
either
matters.
one of those is make or
Yeah,
break the
and
stability of your tank.
and remember, what's in your filter is not
Just a
the
fraction.
entire. Yeah, any surface area of your tank will host beneficial bacteria. The rocks, the substrate, the plants, even on the glass, there is beneficial bacteria growing as a biofilm. So I would use whatever either comes with the filter or whatever is cheapest, because I have used like fancy chem media and it buys you nothing. And I like the cheap ceramic rings because they're really, really cheap.
I like sponge,
Yeah,
honestly.
sponge works great too, but if you have a filter that has like a space where you're supposed to put media,
Hmm.
I I usually just get the cheap ceramic rings. So
Yeah, I've got a ton of that, but like I've started. Well, for one thing, the little bag that comes with the aqua clear that you put the ceramic media in, I guess that little bag doesn't last long. So one day I was lifting it up and pulling it out of my mosh pit filter, and the bag just split, and all the freaking ceramic went
gross.
everywhere. And
Oh, that's
so I just threw all
nasty.
the ceramic away. I'm like, well, that's the end of that. I can't imagine I have a shortage of bacteria in the mosh pit. So
Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
things have been okay.
Yeah, so I would use what you have.
Yeah.
First priority. Second priority, just use what's cheapest. So, but Scotty has informed us that Home Depot says that his sink is in the mail.
Cool.
Hallelujah.
Awesome.
Peer pressure works, people. It works.
Let's see. Thought of some other question.
Geek Boy says that aquariums are always sponge worthy.
Mhm.
It's true.
Yeah, and like Anthony said, if we're talking about planted tanks, don't need to worry about surface area and filters.
No, there's tons of surface area. Coreworks says the best bang for your buck is dish scrubbies from the dollar store. There you go. I've seen people use
Yeah,
that
it's a good
too,
one.
and that works just fine too.
Yep,
So,
it's good
I
mechanical and biological.
yeah, I have a ton of ceramic rings that I got from somewhere for free. So I use those. They're also really cheap.
Set and Crystal said it happened
Oh
to me with the
no.
busted bag. Why does no one warn you about this?
Oh no.
I just thought it was looked like fine inert plastic bags. Like this will
Oh,
last forever, but yeah, it
that's
just split right open.
what I don't get is they have that little plastic clippy or something.
Yeah, just to
Why?
cinch it closed
I mean,
because
just
it's
have
just
a
a basic bag.
drawstring. Yeah. You can, if you want to get another mesh bag, they make
I
little
like the
mesh
ones with the
drawstring
zipper.
mesh bags. Yeah, those are
Yeah,
nice too. Um, you may have a little mesh bag around the house, like that you got some jewelry in or something. You could use that.
the laundry bags work fine
Laundry
too.
bags
The
work
ones
good.
you use to like wash your socks and all that.
Yeah, those work good too. So, use something you have around the house. If it's made of cotton, that works fine, though it may get scummed up a little quicker. It may
Yeah,
not
I'd worry
go
about the
through as
cotton
well.
also having the breakdown and
Yeah,
splitting
it will break
eventually.
down, but it would take a long, long time. So, but yeah, you can kind of get a little creative with things you find around the house.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where like I've eliminated all the ceramic media, bioball stuff. Obviously, no carbon. I'm starting to just give up on using Purigen. I don't think it really matters, and I don't use filter floss. I am just like
Yeah,
all sponge all the time because it's so easy to just remove from
it's
any
really
filter
easy.
and just squeeze it out, rinse it out, put it right back in.
Yeah, yeah. I use mostly sponge and like some ceramic rings. It works fine. So
So liking the weak aqua light, it's looking good from here. So this tank behind me doesn't have the weak aqua. This is these are the fluval planted lights, but I'm still very much loving
yeah,
the weak aqua. In fact, I can
the
switch it
purple that
over
you're seeing on that tank behind him is
the
a
background.
background light,
Yeah.
which is very pretty. It looks really cool.
Yeah, so this is the weak aqua light on the
Nice,
90 gallon.
nice.
Yep, and it's looking really nice. I mean, you can adjust it to your preferences. Like the setting I have right here is like ultra bring out all the ridiculous color in the fish, and if you film it, the fish look fake. In person is not so much, but like it's really hard to capture it on film because your camera especially in auto mode, like wants to
Never
really
going to see it.
oversaturate everything.
But next time I visit, I'll get to see it. So
Yeah.
Because you got those after I was last there.
Yes, that's right. Very
Yeah.
shortly after.
I there in February or January? I was there in February.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
sometime around mid-February, I think.
Yeah. Like right around Valentine's Day.
Yep.
Because January we were in Panama. So we're just working our way north on vacations. Next vacation, Arctic Circle.
South in the south in the winter, and then in
That's
the summer
right.
head
That's
to
right.
Canada.
We're just trying to be more temperature comfortable.
Let's see. Cora says I'm all sponge or nylon filtration media is like the dish scrubbies. Yeah, whatever is easy to remove and clean
Yeah.
whenever you do filter maintenance.
Yeah, definitely. And I just wouldn't spend my budget on that. Just wouldn't waste a lot of money on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
Nathan Hovey says he's used pantyhose. I don't have any of those anymore. Like I don't want to wear tights. They feel terrible. They're ugh. That
I
is a
thought I
part of
had
my
some.
wardrobe I'm done with.
I used to, before I got that cleaning claw thing for the Python, I used to put pantyhose or like a mesh bag over the end of the Python
Yeah.
to save the fry and stuff. But yeah, it gets clogged too easily.
Oxyan says is North Central Wisconsin now considered the Arctic Circle? It's not.
And
That's the next step. That's the next step.
if it snows in June, then
It shouldn't snow in June. It's not that cold of a grow zone. They're 5A. So it's colder. Certainly colder than where you live, but not that bad.
mhm.
Northern Minnesota is colder than northern Wisconsin. That's like, I think Duluth. Well, Duluth has lake effect, but like up by Voyagers, I think they're like 3B. That's very
What is this filter maintenance thing you speak of? It's a thing you do when the water just like won't come out of the filter where it's supposed to.
Yeah,
And you
when
just have no choice.
you're like, my tank looks like crap, and I
Yeah.
have exhausted all other avenues. Maybe I should clean my filter.
Or I know when it's time to do my canisters because it's Christmas. That's
Oh,
for some
I do
reason
mine
in December
twice
was when I
a
decided
year.
to do it.
I do mine twice a year, and probably after I get back from vacation, we should probably do it again.
Yeah, when you say I do mine twice a year, you mean when Jake's here.
I don't want to clean an FX6 without help. It's too heavy. I mean, I could like drain it first. They have a drainage port, but I could also do it when I had help. Which is why my next big tank will have a sump. It will have a sump.
What about that 70-gallon that's empty right now?
So the way the stand is, I could put a tiny sump in there, but it has a big like division and shelves. So there's like a compartment for a filter, so I could put an FX, maybe not a 6. I could put an FX6. I could put an FX4 or whatever the number is below FX6. I think it's FX4.
Yeah, it is. They have an FX2 now.
Yeah. So I could do that. Or I could put like a small square shaped sump. See, Gina said that would work. So I don't know. I might try to put a sump in. But if I were to like switch out my 90 for a bigger tank, I would put a sump on.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah.
I think I've been sold.
Yeah, because I could do the maintenance by myself,
Right.
And that would be a nice thing, and it would be a lot easier to do the maintenance. So,
Update on the little tank. Is it still just farming algae for you?
Well, it's also farming babies.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were trying to move the Danios out there and break it down.
I can see them from here. They're baby glowfin Danios.
Look at that. That's
oh no, and I am not a fish breeder.
now you are.
Yes, I've spawned baby goldfish and rice fish and glowfin danios. So there you go.
So yeah, you're just gonna have to. You can't put them in the rainbow tanks unless you want them to be food. So
Coworker says, though I guess Kelly doesn't DIY, she LJ'd it. Let's Jake do it. You know, I do many, many nice things for him. And so he does many nice things for me. That's how that works.
makes sense.
I know. I mean, he doesn't make the waffles on Sunday. I make the waffles. He's getting a good deal. I plan the vacation. You don't have to do that. So
Indeed.
that's right. So
Joy of fish keeping's a
Foxan,
new name for me. Welcome.
oh hello, welcome. So Foxan has a lily update for us. She says that, as in water lily, the ones I gave her last year, the two big Berthas are throwing up pads like crazy. No signs from the little dude yet. So the little, yeah, that's
Is
exciting.
that in the big pond where they can't access to put root tabs in?
No. Yeah, it's never gonna bloom the same as if you repot it and put root tabs in it, but you'll get a couple flowers here and there. So,
Yeah.
and if it gets really motivated, it might try to escape its pot. It might try to jump the pot, and in which case it will all of a sudden do really, really well because it will be on the bottom of your pond. So, well, that's
So you were saying you have that mountain stone in your little tank. I
mhm.
finally took it out of the living room tank because I was just tired of fighting it. And it was a great, amazing escape. But I got to the point where I kind of just like farming plants, honestly. Like I have a few things like this behind me that are escape, but usually when there's hardscape in a tank, I'm just like, wow, that's taking up a lot of room. I could put like four
Yeah.
species of plants in that one place.
Believe it or not, there's a ton of stone in this tank behind me.
Yeah,
Um,
you got it covered with it looks like a crap ton of Anubias in the front,
Grab
probably
someone
on
of
top of it.
Anubias and Java fern. It's completely covered, but yeah. So I mean, I do like some stone because I think it's nice for anchoring your epiphytes, and I like stone better than I like wood. So
Yeah,
there's
I
a
just
little bit of wood in this tank. There's one piece of
is it invisible?
no. There it is.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I tried
Yeah, I
to
don't
like
think that's like blocking a lot of plant growth. It's just kind of
no. Well,
intermingled
and
with it.
like it's not sticking up, so it's not like for rainbows to impale themselves on. But that big, big Java fern that's there is anchored to that piece of wood.
That
So
Marsilea is gone absolutely bonkers.
isn't that great? I love that foreground. It's so nice. So easy care.
Such a pain if you ever want to like uproot any of it and
Uh,
portion it out. I can't. I just leave it.
yeah, that is true. I mean, I pull away from the back corners and stuff because it starts like pushing up the back corners. So I'll just take my scissors and like snip, 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 snip a little patch and pull it out. But it's great foreground. I really like it. So easy care.
Let's see. There Coro's
Right.
lily. You sent Coro the lily. The
I did. I
Helvola is
said him health.
happy.
Yeah, and it is a dwarf. It is a mini, mini, mini one. It has thrown up one pad to the surface. It'll get there. It'll get there. It is a tiny but mighty plant, and it will probably still flower this year, even. And you won't need to repot it for next year. I mean, I wouldn't have needed to divide it last year. I had it for 2 growing seasons, but I decided to change my substrate, and so I just divided it anyways, but it would have been just fine. I think that one can easily go 3 to 4 years without dividing it. So,
I like the
those
sound
of
of
you who
that.
got it are very, very lucky because I will not have that one available for a while. And it's hard to find. All right, Andy Carson says, Stephen and Kelly, I have a plant that I'm not sure what it is. What looks like Anubias parva, but half the size smaller. It stays in a tight clump and grows slower. I don't know what a Nubius parva looks like.
Yeah, I have to look that
What is that?
up.
Because I know what
Mm,
crypt parva looks
maybe she meant crypt parva. I'm looking. I don't see. Yeah, I don't see anything with Anubias parva. It immediately brings up crypt parva.
Yeah,
Wait, this one. I don't know if it's just mislabeled though.
because if it's crypt parva, I mean, there are some crypt parva. Isn't there a dwarf one that's like really, really small?
Yeah,
Or it just hasn't gotten a chance to get big yet, I kind of think.
that's usually what a lot of dwarf versions of things are. It's
I mean,
just
it grows so slowly.
this seems like
That looks
just
like
at
crypt.
some bad SEO of like
That looks like crypt parva. That doesn't look like a Nubius.
Anubias parva, easy foreground plant.
I don't.
That's
I'm.
Anubias cryptocorin parva.
Oh,
That's new.
Jesus.
They
If you
this is
see a plant seller says that, they are not a reputable plant seller.
no, this is just
Buy
S
elsewhere.
SEO manipulation of like, I see you were searching for Anubias, but can I interest you in something completely
Crypts.
different?
Shady AF.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
does it look like this?
I think it probably is a crypt parva.
Oh yeah, I just saw she said I meant crypt parva. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's probably actually just still crypt parva.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it may get bigger, it may not, but it grows really, really slow. Even with
Very
CO2, it grows pretty slow, but it's beautiful. I love it. I love crypt parva and I love crypt lucens, which looks very, very similar. I always keep them in tanks, but they do grow really, really slow. The best way to get a foreground of crypt lucens is to buy it. I mean,
all these Anubias species I haven't heard of. Anubias pangolin.
I have heard of that one. I have heard of that one. I've never kept it though. I think it's expensive.
Ooh, it's tiny. Of course, Nano Aquarium guy knows this nano plant
Of
here.
course he does. He's an expert in all things nano.
I
Yeah,
think I might want
it's
this.
tiny and it's expensive. And it grows really, really slow, which is why it's expensive. So if you think Nana Petite grows slowly,
Holy
check out
crap.
Anubias
Is this for
pangolin.
sale? How much is this?
Oh. I have seen it pop up on Facebook, the plant trading group, the plant for sale group, the planted tank quick auctions. That's the one.
Mhm.
So I mean, you could watch for it, but be prepared to pay a bunch of money.
Well, at least it looks like
You go.
something that is stable. It has chlorophyll. So
Yeah, I think it probably grows okay. It's just really, really slow. So if
yeah,
you have a plague of green spot algae in your tank, I would not get that one.
true.
Yeah, but I have tons of Nana Petite and I love it. I mean, I think it grows great. So I guess I would get that plant, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Can't get every plant.
Okay, so there's like a green tea version, which is a little lighter, I guess.
Lighter. Oh, it's like I have the golden coin version of Anubias Nana.
Hmm.
I mean,
Cool.
Decoy says Nana Petite grows slow.
And
I've got
CO2, it
Nana
can go
everywhere.
pretty. Yeah.
I would still say it grows fairly slow. I mean, not compared to Anubias Nana. Anubias Nana is way faster. I mean, I think it's pretty slow compared to like a Java fern.
If you ignore it for a while, it does seems like you have a bunch. Like I had a ton that was actually kind of taking over the 90 before I moved it, like just a big carpet of it all connected. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize it was growing that much because it was being towered over by like crypts and swords and
And it
just
likes to be shaded. Anubias
mhm.
prefers to be shaded somewhere in your tank. It does not want to be blasted with light. It tends to get a lot more algae that way. So if you want a secret to Anubias, that's my secret. That and CO2. All right, Zenny says, so if I can't locate my potassium test and they are currently out of stock, could I use soil testing kits that you add the soil to water and just test the water? It still gives milligram per liter results.
I don't know.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, if they're any good. I mean, a lot of soil testing kits are pretty crappy. I always hear it recommended that you send your soil off is a much better test. So like you can send them to like the University of Michigan, even if you don't live in Michigan, you can do that because they have the best plant research facility in the country is at Michigan State. Or your extension will have someplace. But I don't know if you're like itching to spend money. I guess you could buy one. I don't know how accurate it would be, and we don't really have any way to confirm it. So I don't know. Also, I don't know the range that it tests in because
Right.
you want to know if any even trace of potassium is in the water, whereas you need way more than a trace of potassium in your soil. So I don't know that it would be accurate.
And it's also like if there's potassium in your tap water and you dose potassium, it's going to be okay because it's hard to really overdo it.
Yeah, I would agree.
You have to
Especially,
be hell bent on just potassium the shit out of your tank with
I
potassium
mean, I
fertilizer.
dose so many ferts into my tanks, like it just doesn't matter.
Geek's secret to fast nanopetite growth is he puts it in water with a light.
There you go, folks. It's just that easy.
But he does have good water. He's got like
It
a
does.
KH. I think it's like between 1 and
Yeah,
4
yeah,
ish.
2-ish. Yeah, it's pretty low. But I don't think that Anubius cares about that quite as much as some other things do. But maybe it cares a little,
It responds well to CO2 for sure. Like it
Yeah,
will
for
grow.
sure. For sure. Yeah, still low pH water pretty helps.
Yeah.
So
So Juanita wants to know with her rock hard water topping off with distilled water would be okay.
sure. Yeah. I mean, that will ultimately lower your KH somewhat.
Well, I mean,
Um,
if there's evaporation, it's probably preferred to top it off with water
yeah.
that doesn't
I mean,
have more
it's
hardness
not
in it.
going to change your life that much
No,
because,
it'll prevent the hardness from
it won't
building
get
up.
worse.
If it's been a while since you've done a water change, but you get a lot of
It won't get
evaporation.
worse, but let's put it this way. When you have a KH of 17, you can't get much worse. I mean,
It's
you know?
yeah, that's unfortunate. I
Yeah.
mean, there are plants that are adapted to
Yeah.
more efficiently use
And
carbonate.
with CO2,
So
it does help, but it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill
it is.
battle. Whereas, like with CO2 and water like this, it's just not that hard. And I don't even have the best water ever. So,
Juanita, if you don't have Vallisneria, I can send you some
oh, yeah,
vowels. That'll be helpful.
that's a good
I
one.
have an Acarus. I don't think you want it. It's not a great looking plant, and yeah, but it certainly does grow in
So,
hard water.
Crystal C asks if Busqueta gang prefers light or shade. I've had one for months. It doesn't look like it's grown any, but it's not melting either. Well, it grows really slow. So I have
Mhm.
Pitagang, and it grows really, really slow no matter what you do. I have it under a Chihiro's light, and it still grows slow. It's never going to grow that fast.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you
Roche
can
will wear
blast the
that in the
crap out of it with CO2, and
yeah,
you can crank
do it
up the
in the
light
house.
on it. Keep that water like ultra super supremely clean, and then you can grow it faster. But
Even then, it's still not going to grow super fast. It's just what
yeah,
it does. Does it prefer shade? I don't know. Yeah.
it uptakes nutrients so slow. I would imagine, and I know you can influence the colors with shading. I think that's kind of what happens when people sell the blue stuff is they'll shade it in almost practically full darkness for a while, and then put it under light and it's got that like deep dark bluish color, of
Yeah.
assuming that you have bluish light to
Yeah, I
reflect
mean
off of it.
that is not the color of the plant itself
No,
changing. It is just the color of the light reflected off of it. And when I had a ton of
the
blue,
leaves go darker though.
Yeah.
Because I have some with I don't mean I have so many different varieties that it's hard to tell, but like I have some with light shining directly on it, and I get a lot of pink leaf growth, and then I have stuff that's shaded and the leaves like a dark green.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just gonna throw out all my boosts. I don't really like it. I just don't like it.
I have a love-hate relationship with it.
I
When
have
I'm
the
taking care of it, I love it.
only
When
hate.
I'm
I don't like the way it looks. I mean, I'm just getting rid of it. So
blasphemy.
I
Goose is
don't. I'm
gorgeous.
fine blaspheming. I thought there was a question.
I don't know, but Juanita said Val is not growing, it just melts. I ordered some from Keith and Shady sent me a big bag of Val and it just melts.
You
It
know,
does
let it.
have an adjustment
Yeah,
period.
and it might come back. It might
Yeah.
come back from the roots. But I will say that even Vallisneria, when your water is that hard, life is harder. Even with CO2,
Hmm.
life is harder when your water is that hard. It's just the way it is. I'm sorry. I have lived
Bad
that life.
bad news, yeah.
All right, Jenny asks me, would it be normal that my KH and GH are lower than usual during the summer? I wasn't testing GH and KH for a while, and it's significantly lower this time. And I'm wondering why. I don't know what your municipality does to their water. They should publish their water report, and you could look. You could also call them and ask. And I know you love calling people on the phone.
Get on the phone. So I did do some research on this because she's not the only locale where the hardness decreases in the summer. And apparently, unlike calcium sulfate, calcium chloride, calcium carbonate actually has a higher solubility in cold water. And a lot of surface water sources will be
Yeah.
harder in the winter because it dissolves more of the calcite.
Well, and the other thing that is that in the spring and summer, there's a lot more rain. In
Hmm.
snowy places, there was
Increases the acidity
runoff.
too, yeah.
There was runoff, and so the water is just going to be more dilute in general if it comes from the river. And I don't know where you get your water from where you live. I don't know if it comes from the aquifers. I know parts of Texas it probably does, like Austin. I'm sure it does, but I'm not sure. But they might have it on their website what they do to the water seasonally. They will have a water report, and you could call and ask them. You know, I know you love calling people on the phone.
I mean, check if there's an email address. That's what I would do. I would check hard. I would do
Just check hard. But probably it is the sort of thing if you want like granular detail, you are going to have to call because they won't know what to do with an email. And
Who do
they
you
don't
ask to
have the
speak
time to
to
just go back and forth and back and forth.
when you
Um,
call? Because like if you call, you're probably gonna get like billing or something first.
yeah, I mean, I would look for the number for like problems with the water, and I would just say, hey, I have an aquarium. Can you, and I need to know like seasonally why my water is changing. Can you refer me to someone? And they'll just keep transferring you to people. I mean, whenever I want to talk to someone in the city, we have like a central in our city, we have like a central line we can call and they will like refer you to the right agency. So, you know, you might be able to do that if you have that in your town. So, Passing Wind asks, when are we getting a swimsuit calendar from you two?
That's not ever gonna happen.
Not
That's a
likely
definite
to happen.
no. Then
Not
Matt said, when will Stephen P make some wet your plants and fat kitty merch so we can buy from aquatics.com? How
I
about
mean,
we call it wet your fat kitty?
if you are a member of this channel, you can get a Fat Kitty magnet sent to your home that you
Sure
can
can.
put on your refrigerator. So you can look at Fat Kitty's face when you're making dinner. So
Plant calendar. Yeah, I don't know what merch to make.
who uses a wall calendar anymore?
I
Like,
don't. I
I
like we
don't
get them
use
for
a
the
wall
kids,
calendar.
and I guess it seems like Lillian uses hers. Zachary doesn't give a crap.
I didn't
He
use a calendar when I was a child because I was a mess. I mean, I didn't schedule anything. I did not have a schedule as a child. I did not plan. I barely plan as an adult, but my calendars now are on my phone and my work computer.
Juanita's brain is her calendar.
There you go. My brain not great for that.
No, either.
Not great. So
Yeah, merch is hard because the
merch is
most available merch is like drinkware and apparel. That doesn't
yeah.
sell.
And the thing is, well, and like for the apparel, like I want to support my friends, but like I don't like to wear clothing with words on it. I
Yeah,
mean, I just don't. And the t-shirts, they're never great. They're always like
there.
they're not as good as like a t-shirt I would buy from the store.
Yeah, if you do screen printing, then the quality is a lot better. But to do screen printing, you have to agree that you're going to have them do 500 shirts. And given that I've maybe this year sold about 12 shirts,
Yeah.
it's not really a yeah.
I mean, and it's just I kind of like clothes. You know, I'm
Hmm.
kind of a clothes horse. Jake
Yeah.
is too. But I want my clothes to last at least 3 years. Whereas, like those t-shirts, some of them will fall apart in like 3 washes. Like, I
Yeah,
have
there's
no
certain
pants that
care.
are 7 years old and they still are nice. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's I don't like to be contributing to the landfills that much.
The
So
screen printed and sublimation dye ones are great. The problem with the sublimation dye is it has to be like mostly polyester shirts, and God, I hate those so much.
yeah, they don't feel
Uh,
well. Yeah, I mean, I like them to feel a little cottony.
right. Merch towels are nice. Barbara said,
They
"Yeah, I
are
have
nice.
towels on there. They're a little pricey for the printing job because it's print on demand."
I have two different aquatics towels behind me. So,
F-
I do like when people have for merch canvas grocery bags because
mhm.
I use them. I use them to buy groceries or I'll use them to put my knitting in. And I seem to have like a great need for a lot of canvas grocery bags. So that is merch I do buy. And I
But
haven't
would you pay
ordered.
like $20 for
I
one?
did. I bought one from you. I'm like the one person who did.
That's because it's me though.
That's true.
So favorite plant to put with cichlids.
I mean, you're going to have to take this with a grain of salt because I don't keep cichlids.
Same, just
I don't really
angelfish.
like cichlids. However, if they're African cichlids, there is one plant that I can tell you works. If you have mambunas, um, Hygrophila polysperma sunset. I had a friend who had an overstocked tank of mambunas, your traditional mambuna tank, and he had
Mhm.
that growing. And it didn't matter that they nipped at it and ripped at it and pulled at it. It grows so fast. And this was with no CO2 in rock hard Iowa water. It did just fine because it grows so fast. And it had like fluorescent tube lights over it because this was 15 years ago. So that's the plant I would suggest for Mambuna. If you have like South American cichlids, well, you can have whatever you want. I mean, if you want high temperature cichlids like discus, not every plant is gonna. No plant likes to be hot. No plant
So just do
likes to be
okay.
in the 80s, but
Yeah.
some will tolerate it more than others, like swords and crypts will do okay. But no plant likes being that hot. They would all prefer to be, well, they'd actually, if a plant had its way, it would probably like to be 70 degrees, maybe even 68 degrees. So,
And Zen brings up a good point. Any bite-resistant plants too, just
Oh, there
anything
you go.
that's
Yeah.
robust and
Yeah.
tough like that. Like a
Yeah. I
Nubius
mean,
alphifolia.
it depends on the personality of your fish. Cichlids, they all have different personalities. I am not a cichlid keeper. I don't really I can't really claim a lot of experience with them. But that would be my suggestions.
I don't know if I've sent June any sunset. Maybe I should include that in her next
You
plant model.
should, because it might survive her Oscars. Oscars are a cichlid. There you go. Do what June does. She keeps all kinds of plants with her big old
Yeah, the
Oscars.
Val Gigantea I've sent her. I
Yeah,
think that's been doing well, and I'm sure swords and Anubius and
yeah,
Bulbitis I think I've sent as well.
yeah. And Val, for if you want to keep Val with this, because it can take heat, it's never going to be as happy as it would be at 70 degrees, but it can take heat. I've seen people keep Val with their discus tanks. It looks pretty good. Not super into discus, but Jake really likes them. But Jake is never going to have his own tank, so it does not matter.
Discus are pretty, but the information surrounding them is just it's conflicting, and
I mean, they're
if they
really
have to be
they're
hot and
really
I
not good tank mates for rainbows. And I'm
yeah.
never going to have a big tank for anything but rainbows. I mean, unless it's saltwater. So June says, "I love Val, and so do the Oscars." Well, there you go. They probably do pick at it. So, but it does all right.
So Juanita's asking what stem plant I sent her with the sword plant, and I don't know offhand. Oh, Jenna's got it. Hygrophila polysperma sunset.
Oh no, that's
Turned white and is dying. Uh,
oh, Anita, that is the easiest plant to grow. I'm very sorry to tell you. Your
I don't know
water
how
is
it does
so
in hard
hard.
water though.
Yeah, it does
Like
fine. I mean,
super hard water.
I used to grow it, and it was a weed in KH of 22, and this is with and without CO2.
It does seem light sensitive though, because I've had it die out in the 90 just because I let other crap grow all around it and it shaded it out.
I
But
would
as
say
soon
that
as
my
you
lights were pretty weak sauce because this was during the days of compact fluorescent lights that just were not as good. I mean, I have not grown it in 15 years, but I had it in Iowa, and it is one of those plants that, oh, man, it just grows through everything. All right, tap water. Oh God, wouldn't you love that water,
sure
Steven?
would. That's the grow anything water.
You don't even need CO2. God, it's so nice.
Just
Ah,
low and slow.
so nice.
That American barbecue
I
way.
know.
So
Plus, think of the plants you could grow. You could grow all the crazy rare stuff.
what would concern me with KH of 0 is I would be very paranoid about ever skipping a water change.
Oh yeah.
I would
So
be so afraid of
yeah,
the pH
Scotty, if
crash.
you think that it's cool to not do your water changes, think again because your tank
KH of
has
0, yeah.
no buffer. So, for your killifish, I know you say that they don't like water changes, but they're like, "Ugh, it's so acidic in here because we have no buffer at all." So if you're
But
gonna do
that's
no
just tap
water
water in the
changes,
40. Why was that
buffer with
higher? Is there
water.
something there? Is there some kind of
Rock.
carbonate source being?
There's some rock in there. That would be my
Yeah,
guess. That would be my guess.
that helps.
Yeah. So for your tanks that you don't want to do a lot of water changes in, you need to buffer the water somehow.
Yeah, not you don't have to do it a lot, just a
You
little
don't
bit.
have to add much. You can add baking soda. You need to know what you're doing to add baking soda because it is such a tiny amount.
Potassium bicarbonate is a good source
Oh
because then
yeah,
you
that's
also get
even
to add
better.
potassium.
Yeah, because plants don't really like sodium. They don't like
No,
it. So yeah, that's easy to find. You can get it on Amazon. So it just has Fluval stratum in it. I don't know where that's
interesting.
coming from. Might be decaying plants.
Could be, or just
Be
test strips being weird.
yeah, test
I
strip.
don't know.
I mean, this is not lab quality tests.
You know those test strips, especially the KH pad, that they like change colors and get wacky really easily. Like that's why they say don't shake off the water when you do a test strip, because those KH test pads have to be super saturated. As soon as they start evaporating or like the water starts running out of it, that color goes away immediately.
And if your water is so dilute,
yeah,
that like it's barely detecting anything, yeah. So, but your water is super soft out of the tap. It can be a
that's
blessing and it can be
nice.
a curse. I mean, but that's the water I would like to have.
Me
Our
too.
water out of the tap, but like not super low GH either. Like, so you don't really have to add any GH, do you? I can't remember what he said his GH was.
What, Scotty?
Yeah, what was his GH?
I think it was a good bit. Like,
Oh yes, you
solid.
don't even have to add GH. Like, you just have great water out of the tap.
Yeah, GH 200, which that's just the estimated ppm based on the like the way they measure GH and KH ppm. It's not the actual ppm of cations. It's a ppm with the assumption that it exists as calcium carbonate. I learned that too. So like your ppm of calcium cations is different based on the ratio of calcium carbonate. Like I think if you have 1 degree of GH and it's just derived from calcium carbonate, then you really have only 7 ppm of calcium, which it doesn't matter, but it's just learning all these weird nuances.
The molecular weight of calcium and magnesium.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Magnesium is a much bigger molecule. Yeah.
Yep.
So Whip asks if he posts his test strip results after testing the water out of the tap. Can we help diagnose to a certain extent? Maybe. I mean, we can't fix if you have light problems from a test strip. But I mean, sure. I mean, we can try.
I'm putting together a plant package for Whip too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bunch of weeds and just to see what sticks.
I mean, it's worth a shot. I mean, the other plant problem that Whip has that a test strip just can't solve is all his monster fish are gonna like to rip everything up.
Yeah, I can't really fix that.
We can't fix that.
I diagnosed Whip with cichlid disease.
I know.
Too many freaking
We can't help that you don't have nice community fish. Have you thought about getting rainbows? They're great with plants.
Yeah.
Maybe some tetras.
Yeah. Anthony says, at least with that 0 KH, you can buffer easily. With something the opposite, not so much. Yeah, it's so much easier to start from a blank canvas.
So much easier. So much easier. Because RO is expensive and difficult. All right.
Do you think an Amazon puffer would be okay in a 5-gallon cube for a couple of weeks to a month max while I redo a tank? I mean, they're pretty small. I mean, they're puffers. They're very, very hungry. So
is it just one puffer?
I guess so.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. I've never had an Amazon puffer. I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask.
I mean, when we're talking a couple of weeks to a month max.
Oh wait, I was mixing that up with a pea puffer. Aren't they like yay big and kind of fat?
It depends on when they're young. Like if he just got it, then it should be all right. He's just redoing a tank and keeping it in there for a couple of weeks. It's not a big deal. Just you check the water quality, and because they like to eat and they like to poop.
And I would give it maybe I would give it 2 water changes a week, because I feel like a fat fish like that is going to have a decent bio load, and you're going to want to keep up with that. But a couple weeks to a month, maybe. I mean, it's not really, the fish is not going to be very happy in a tank that small.
Yeah. Also,
a 10-gallon, because like a 10-gallon is pretty cheap. That'd be twice.
I don't know if the rule applies. I thought that Amazon puffers were like one of those puffers that prefer groups, but that could just be,
I don't know,
something somebody made up.
I don't know anything about puffers, but I would say that almost no fish should be kept in a 5-gallon.
No, but not long term. But if you can keep up with the maintenance, like the cleanliness, like a 5-gallon hospital holding tank. Like I've kept guppies in a 5-gallon before for a little while, just as a quarantine, And I mean, it's not definitely not long term, but you
Yeah.
just got to make sure you're keeping them happy
I mean, if
enough.
you got a 10-gallon, I think that would be better. And a 10-gallon is a pretty cheap tank. All
Yeah,
right.
inch and a half. They're young.
Nathan says it's just one. It's inch and a half. All right. Can also move some cories from a 10-gallon they use for breeding. It'll probably be fine.
And yeah, the puffers can
Try
be
to make it
expensive.
closer to 2 weeks than a month. You know.
Let's see.
Then
Yeah,
you can
Whip says
switch
now
from
that I've
your 5-gallon. There you go. Been off the water softener, hoping for more hope.
hoping for hope.
Yeah, so lighting can't really change.
I'm curious. I forgot what Whip said his KH was.
This is pretty high, isn't it? It was Chicago.
Probably so. I mean, for
It's
the
pretty
water
hard
softener,
water
is
in
there's probably
Chicago.
a lot of GH, but
Yeah.
better than no GH and sodium instead, whatever they replace it with.
Yeah. But water softeners don't remove your cage.
No, they just
Just
replace cations.
Yep. They exchange cations. Cation exchange resin. So Big Steve says, Kelly, tell that to the Killifish shoebox crew. Yeah, I mean, people keep their killies in shoeboxes. It's a thing they do. A puffer is not a killie.
Alex says Amazon puffers 1 or 5, so it's like to keep a single specimen or get the group, and at least a 10-gallon for quarantine.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it in less than a 10, even for just because that fish is going to be really stressed in a tank that small. Because like I have some tiny rainbows in this tank that are the size of a tetra because they're young.
I used to get super nervous when the shouted in eye puffer was stressed, because there's like a visible stress stripe on them. But it turns out they do that even if like they're slightly perturbed, like, oh, you turned on the light.
It's just what they do.
Yeah. But yeah, I got the 3 now. They're doing great. They found their places, and one of them is like what everyone says about puffers, being water puppies and puppies and begging for food. And then there's another one that's just kind of in different areas of the tank. And then the one that I initially got, she is still just very shy.
She's very shy. I mean, it's just the way she is.
They're individual personalities for sure.
Yeah. Are they intelligent fish? I just don't know anything about them. I mean, they're probably smarter than a rainbow, but
I mean, define intelligence. They have really good eyesight. They can see you. They do recognize your presence. They can see you from across the room. They know when you're in the room, and they certainly know what they can and can't eat.
They're not like rainbows that are just like, hi. Food,
God, this. And then I got another Kalitawa that I guess wedged itself. I don't know. The power went out, and of course the rainbows, they're not used to pitch black. They're used to some light coming through windows in the TV. But the power goes out at night. There's darkness, and they just flip the fuck out. And yeah, and hopefully it recovers. That one that really freaked out like a few weeks ago, that one did not recover. Big kitty.
Big kitty. That sucks.
Yeah. That's the life of a rainbow keeper. They're just big idiots.
I know.
Trouble with Amazon puffers that you have to trim their teeth. Yeah, and I actually I filmed Johnny trimming their teeth when I was at the warehouse. It seems like it's pretty straightforward.
It's a good video.
When you're using clove oil, that is what makes me nervous.
I mean, Johnny said it freaked him out the first time he did it, but now it's okay. So if you guys are listening in the warehouse, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to do that.
I mean, he didn't seem to be stressed out about it. I think when they first did it, they were nervous, but then they figured out, it's just all you got to do.
Just a thing they do. But that video is really good. So I would watch that video. So Whip says that the tank that he has the plants in is the 75-gallon community tank with tetras. But the Coreys were guilty of popping out plants out of the ground, and they can't ever be confused as an Oscar. Coreys, they can get a little nosy. The ones I
I've
like
got
don't seem to be, but
I have the big bronze. What are they?
oh yeah.
Osteogaster Aeneas
The
now.
Broca Splendid. Those
And
are
actually, I
big
have Broca
fat.
splendens and Osteogaster Aeneas in the same tank together, and yeah, they don't care about my tissue cultures.
I have Equus. I don't know what the new name of Equus is because I don't really care about Corys that much, so I haven't kept up
Mm,
on what I'm supposed to be calling them.
I
So
don't remember what they changed to.
some point someone will just tell me.
Yeah,
Um, but they're small and they don't really do much. They're fine. I also have Pygmea. I don't know what their new name is either. I think it's
those are gastrodermis.
yeah, they're tiny. They don't do anything.
Now they're
Those are the Corys
pygmaeum,
I
not pygmaeus.
have. I think I've had other Corys at times in my life. I've never had any of the bigger, fatter ones. So
I
yeah,
like Corys, or at least I thought it did, but
now
I've
you
never had a
really
Corydorus in my life, so
I
I
know.
don't know.
But you have Corydorids, so you can say you like Corys because they're
Yeah,
Corydorids. They're in the
I just don't know if
family
I like
Corydoridae.
don't know if I like the Corydorus genus
Yeah,
because apparently those are a little different. Like Johnny mentioned, a lot of those are actually kind of fin
jerks.
nipping assholes. Yeah.
Yeah. So June says that the pepper Corys search everything but don't seem to destroy the plants. I would agree with that. I have had those
Mhm.
before. They seem to be well behaved. Joy
Kelly,
of
what is
Fish.
your channel name?
It's my name. It's just Kelly Foreman. I guess a mod could drop a link to it. I don't make a ton of content because I don't really care. I post pictures of I post my pond, occasional
Yep.
content of it, but I
You
also
posted
post
one
that on
today too, didn't you?
yeah, I think I just put that on Instagram. I post more on Instagram, mostly just my pond, some my tank, and
And
my
your Kelly
Instagram,
Pet Lab.
Kelly.petlab. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's a lot easier to post to Instagram, and I have over 1,000 followers on Instagram, and I have 200 on YouTube. So yeah, there you go. There's my links on Fishfam link. Are the
Sweet.
Fishfam link servers okay? Because Matt has flooding in Iowa.
They were down last night. I think they're back.
They're back up. Poor Iowa.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Iowa's overdue for a 1,000-year flood because they've had one in 1992 and 2008.
Yeah, that checks out.
I know. That is a floody state. God, they get such big storms there. None of that rain is coming to Indiana, guys. Like, we need the
Mm,
rain. It's so dry here. We had a little bit of rain on uh, Sunday, a 1/4 inch, but we need like way more than that. Jake's corn is sad looking this year.
man.
So,
So yeah, Evergreen Psyche said making guest appearance somewhere. Yep, in like an hour and a half, I'll be on the
that's
Steamfot
right. And that's a
with
name I don't recognize.
Evergreen Psyche.
Oh,
They've been here, and like off and on, and I've seen them in other streams too.
nice. Nice. And apparently talks to small birds.
Little birdies be spreading
Little
rumors.
birdies. Such gossips.
I don't know.
So Matt says that water creeped 20 foot onto the property last night. Power was out for about an hour. Yikes! Oh, that's scary, Matt. Glad you're okay. So your basement didn't flood? Let us know.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, hopefully
yeah.
not.
I mean, I remember in 1982, every single basement on the block flooded, except my parents. They had about a quart of water come into the basement right by a drain, so it was fine. But lots of people had like 3 feet of water in their basement. So, yeah. Oh, Alec, that's nice. My garden is looking way beautiful right now. Does make me pretty happy. I watered like crazy last week during that heat wave. Oh my God, I was
Yeah.
watering 2 or 3 times a day just because it was hot, dry wind. no rain. It was in the, I mean, it was like 96 or 97 a couple of those days. So yeah.
Yeah, Congo spotted puffers are the best. That's why they're so spendy. I mean, in the
They're pretty
60s,
cool.
they were like the most common freshwater puffer kept in the hobby. And then like war and shit broke out in the Congo.
Congo
So
is
yeah.
the Congo is just not a happy place. You know, it's really sad for all the people who live there. And
But they're
is
being bred actively again in
they're
in
working on it.
aquariums. So
They're
hopefully
working
they're
on
not
it.
$200 puffers in the coming years.
Yeah, I mean, because there is definitely a demand for them. So I hope that, we will have good sources for them. But I also hope that the people in the Congo can have a better situation too, because that's not a good way to live. So Jeff Kane says that Wisconsin is still drippy. Yeah, they've had every state in the Midwest except for Indiana is getting all of the rain. My sister, I mean, she's in Madison. She's had tons of rain there. Her garden is getting eaten alive by slugs. There's no slugs in Indiana this year. That is not a problem. Those slugs burnt to a crisp.
Hmm.
So send some rain our way.
See if there are any more questions. I think my dinner is almost ready. So
Nice.
gotta eat, get nourished before I hop on another
You,
stream.
you gotta prepare, or at least just eat dinner. I mean, that's good enough.
I gotta be sharp. I'm the plant expert apparently now.
I know.
I don't have you to bounce off of. Yeah.
You're gonna be like sending me tags like, Kelly, what's you know
Oh,
what? You don't need me. You're gonna be just fine.
you're not gonna be in chat.
I I have a phone call date at 8 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Well, no,
Jake
I
on
mean,
the
I have yet another. I have two phone call dates. So after the
what?
stream, I'm going to talk to Jake. I always talk to him for an hour, and
Hmm.
then one of my girlfriends, Priya, we're
Okay.
going to talk, and we always chat for like an hour and a half when we talk. So maybe 2 hours. So because she's so
All right.
I
Well,
know. So it's a night of talking on the phone for me.
that sounds awful.
I know. I love talking on the phone. So, and we always talk about like how her daughters, they never want to talk on the phone. I'm like, we don't get it.
It's a
They're in high
generational
school.
thing.
So, but
Hmm.
yeah, so have a good time on that stream. Hope everybody can tune into it. Scotty's member stream is in a half hour, but he may start early. So you can see what regulator he bought. That's the clickbait. I
Yep.
don't know. Maybe I think he's going to unbox something too. So that'll get you a bingo square.
Good point. Yeah. No promises though. I
No
don't.
promises.
We don't know what's happening on the stream.
We don't know.
That'll be helpful, Jeff. Just keep the trolling going.
There you go. Oh, so Corework says Kelly says phone calls are more important than chat. Well, I haven't talked to Priya in
Yeah,
months. We have a lot of him. She's one
I
of my
get it.
medical writer friends. We have a lot of like professional gossip to do. So, yeah.
Well then,
I know.
I guess we'll say thanks to our awesome mods and lurkers and chatters, members, and replay. And I'll see y'all in an hour and a half on the scene
Yeah.
thought. We possibly know Wet Your Plants. Kelly won't be here next week for Wet Your Plants.
Great.
I don't know what else.
Yeah, but have a happy 4th of July. And
Indeed.
unless you're not American, in which case just have an ordinary day because it's not really a
Just
holiday.
have a Thursday.
If you're in Canada, have a good Canada Day because that's July
Alrighty.
1st. So, but we'll see you in 2 weeks.
And thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.